That kid's got some iron fists on him. He might have some competition.
Well, the West could use another hero.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This will be my full Marvel What If Season 3 Episode 6 video. There are a whole bunch of Easter eggs and references. Big Shang-Chi returned to the Marvel Universe. People wondering, when are we going to get Shang-Chi 2? They're actually going to make that movie, but the director of the first movie that's going to do the second movie also got hired on to do Spider-Man 4. And Marvel's like, that's way more important to us. We're going to make way more money on Spider-Man movies. Thus, Shang-Chi 2 gets delayed to like several years, and now it looks like it's going to happen after Secret Wars. Hailee Steinfeld also came back as Kate Bishop, and there was a whole bunch of Iron Fist references because of, I think, a canceled episode that I've mentioned before about Shang-Chi versus Iron Fist. They were actually planning on doing that in the What If episodes, but got blocked by Kevin Feige and Marvel because they're planning on doing that fight in live action during the movies and the TV shows. This is also why they mentioned Ghost so much in the episode too, because they were planning on doing a Ghost Rider episode with a Ghost Rider character, but that also got blocked by the Marvel powers that be because they're going to be doing Ghost Rider in live action soon. A lot of really cool what-if ideas that got canceled because they don't want them stepping on the toes of future movies or TV shows, which I think kind of sucks. Like, they shouldn't have worried about that. They should just let them use whatever characters they wanted. But if you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the episodes. Remember, this is like the last couple episodes of Season 3, and then the show's basically been canceled for several years to give them time to introduce all those big characters and twists that they really wanted to do episodes about, but Marvel wouldn't let them do episodes about. The episode title was What If 1872, a reference to them basically doing the episode as another version of Marvel's 1602 episodes that they did last year, where all the Marvel characters exist, but it's back during the Old West this time. In the episode, it's mostly a Shang-Chi Kate Bishop team-up as a kung fu western story. For those of you also asking too, Kate Bishop will come back in a Hawkeye Season 2 and during their Young Avengers project, which is now just being called the Champions behind the scenes, because the characters that they're using for MCU Young Avengers are taken from the Champions comics, their team, and from the Young Avengers team. So it's a mishmash of different characters, and I think they're using the Champions name over Young Avengers just to avoid cannibalizing the Avengers brand in general for those Avengers movies. No idea when Hawkeye Season 2 will also happen to, maybe in the next couple years. Supposedly they're already working on that. Because this is a Western, we should also say that Hailee Steinfeld's very first big movie, like her big break in Hollywood, was a remake of John Wayne's True Grit film. If you haven't seen the Hailee Steinfeld version, it's actually a fantastic movie. But they do a custom version of the Marvel intro again. This time it's old-timey black and white, made to look as if it's being projected on a wall that's cracked, like you can see the crack on the wall behind the projection. All because the first actual movie projector was invented in 1879. So they're a few years off in terms of when this actual technology would have been available, but they want to make it look like it's period accurate. The bells and the gunshots in the background is a reference to the Ten Rings from the Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings movie, because that's sort of like a calling card for Shang-Chi in this universe. One of the other details for early movie projectors that you hear too is there's no actual sound on the projector. You can hear the whirring of the motor in the background. That's because the earliest movie projectors didn't actually have sound capabilities. They just played the film reel back, so if you wanted music for your movie or whatever you were projecting, you would just have a live piano player or like a live band play along to the picture. The burning effect here, transitioning to the actual episode, is also a reference to real-life early movie projectors with the old film reels overheating so much that it caused the film to literally burn. Using that as a transition to the actual episode itself. Into ye old Marvel Universe. The episode starts with the Watcher narrating about the Old West with a band of men led by U.S. Agent John Walker. If it wasn't clear, this is also Wyatt Russell coming back to play the character, which is also a cool deep cut reference because his father, Kurt Russell, also Marvel actor as Ego the Living Planet, has also done many Westerns in his life. Tombstone, probably one of the best Westerns out there too. If you haven't seen Tombstone, I would recommend checking it out. They ring the bell 10 times as a reference to 10 rings. And the way they explain the 10 rings in this universe, that he doesn't actually have the 10 rings themselves. They just refer to him as a nickname as the 10 rings, like that's his superhero name, literally. And they refer to Kate Bishop as Hawkeye, which is a reference to her being Hawkeye in the comics. I don't know what happened to Clint Barton in this universe, though. You also notice when they show up, because this is the Old West, they're wearing Old Western clothing, but it's colored like their superhero costumes in present day. They use a bunch of spaghetti western music for the episode, and a bunch of Marvel themes done in spaghetti western style. Ennio Morricone would be proud. They're trying to lure Shang-Chi and Kate Bishop into a trap, and they're looking for a mysterious character called, quote-unquote, The Hood, who is an actual Marvel character. I mean, there's a big twist in the episode, but the Hood character is a real person inside the Marvel Comics. In the episode, though, the big twist is that he thinks his sister was lost, but she secretly killed the Hood and then took his Hood and replaced him and became the new Hood. It's actually meant to be a reference to the Hood character who's going to be the main villain of the Ironheart series when those episodes premiere next year. I think they were planning on this episode releasing after the Ironheart series. So if you wonder what was going on with that weird red cloak that his sister was wearing that whispered as she took it off and then blew off into the distance, it's not meant to be the cloak of levitation, it's meant to be the Hood's red cloak from the comics, and it's just meant to be possessed. It was literally that red cloak Hood that was making her evil. But they use this first big fight scene against US Agent and his men just to show you their skills. Shang-Chi obviously using old-fashioned kung fu, but Kate Bishop, instead of using bows and arrows, I mean, they'd still be using those in the Old West, but she actually uses pistols instead. He pretty much wipes the floor with all of them. I guess this version of US Agent does not have the super soldier serum. They set up the whole twist with the Hood trying to chase that person down before learning that it's his sister. He tells them that they're headed to Point Pegasus, which is meant to be a reference to Project Pegasus in the MCU. That was the project to use the Tesseract to develop a faster-than-light engine during the Captain Marvel movie, which they use for the Ghost Train later in the episode. The Watcher mentions the word legend again, more Shang-Chi 10 Rings references. The weird thing in the episode, though, is that he doesn't actually have the 10 rings, like you'd think he'd have the actual 10 rings. Then the Watcher, in his multiverse base, sets up that moment at the end of the episode when the other Watchers show up. Like, that's why they kept going to his multiverse base, just to prepare you for them showing up. It also starts to explain that in the wider reaches of the multiverse, things get weirder and even more different, with that really cool scene of Frog Thor fighting Alligator Loki. I wanted them to do an episode with them so bad after Loki Season 1. I have no idea why they didn't actually try for that, but maybe they included their cameo scene here to set up the idea that they might return in the finale. That would be pretty cool. Then he shows a reality where Crossbones became a pirate captain during what looks like the 1700s. The person with red hair is Black Widow. The person in green with the gold necklace seems like a version of the Hulk in banner form. And then the Watcher says his own version of a WTF exclamation when looking at some of the weirder realities. One where Ultron became a lounge singer. All this meant to set up the idea that there's this great injustice across the entire multiverse in every reality that he wants to stop, and it's the reason why he keeps breaking his oath to not intervene. Then he explains the backstory of this 1872 universe. So Shang-Chi's sister fled to the United States in the 1860s to escape their father Wenwu. This is meant to be a comp to the Shang-Chi movie where he was the one that fled to America to escape their father. She winds up encountering all kinds of hardships against immigrants. It looks like she scarred her face fighting with the Hood, but they explain that she eventually did kill him and take his cloak. Her disappearing along with her neighbors is just a reference to her becoming the Hood and developing her own plan to conquer the United States. Shang-Chi, knowing none of this, is now trying to find her with Kate Bishop's help, who also wants revenge against the Hood for killing her family, but that also winds up being a big twist too with another character. When the Watcher calls it more of a ghost story, all I could think of was Ghost Rider, just because during that first Ghost Rider movie, he meets one of the previous hosts of the Spirit of Vengeance who lived during the Old West era and rode a hell horse. Speaking of which, like I said, the writers of What If were going to do a Ghost Rider episode, but Kevin Feige and the Marvel powers that be wouldn't let them do that because they didn't want them stepping on the toes of the live-action Ghost Rider that they're going to be doing in the next couple years. I think in the next couple Avengers movies, maybe in Midnight Suns. We will see which live-action movie Ghost Rider winds up showing up in. Ryan Reynolds explained that he tried to get Nicolas Cage to come back and do Ghost Rider with his version in Deadpool and Wolverine, but whatever contract they were trying to make with him just did not work out. I already explained about a lot of the other canceled ideas that they wanted to do, like Shang-Chi versus Iron Fist. That's why there's so many Iron Fist references in this episode too, because the writers are probably like, well, we can't do that Iron Fist episode, so why don't we do some Iron Fist Easter eggs? They also said this is the reason why they didn't do more X-Men characters in episodes too, because when they were actually making these episodes, like the season 3 episodes, the Fox Disney deal hadn't totally finished, and while they were in the middle of it, they didn't realize that it had finished and they could use X-Men characters, like they had all the rights back. So by the time they actually did figure that out, they could do whatever they want with the X-Men characters, they were too far along in development, like making the actual episodes, and they couldn't change it. Which absolutely sucks rocks. Then they find the kid who tells them about the Hood's attack, who's really good with Kung Fu, who they imply will become the next Iron Fist in this universe. When he says the Hood captured everyone and took them on what he calls a ghost train, that just feels like more Ghost Rider vibes they're trying to bake into the episode. They follow the trail to Fury Flats, a Nick Fury reference, even though Nick Fury himself didn't appear in the episode. They play an Old West version of their Marvel theme music. Then they spot the rogue ghost train that's not using any actual railroad tracks because it has Iron Man repulsors that they stole from Stark Industries in this reality. In lore, ghost trains are typically just spectral trains, like actual ghosts that are just trains. When they board, it looks like they're using the Tesseract to power the engine because we're the Old West, they're using lots of Infinity Stone references. He mentions Stark, he's talking about Tony Stark, Iron Man, because then he also mentions Stark Munitions. Stark Industries was a weapons manufacturer for most of his life. Munitions in the Old West just means he makes bullets and explosives at this version of Stark Industries. Hammer Steel, for Justin Hammer, sounds like he just makes guns and knives, and then Cross Manufacturing is Darren Cross from the Ant-Man movies. And his sister, as the Hood, has stolen all this gear from all these companies, and a couple Infinity Stones, it sounds like too, based on what happens in the episode. All these workers being hypnotized comes from Sonny Burch's version of Loki's scepter with the Mind Stone, but it's like a pocket watch in this universe. So this is at least 2 Infinity Stones that his sister has. Then this is meant to be Walton Goggins, Sonny Burch character from the Ant-Man movies. He's done a ton of westerns outside the Marvel Universe in real life too. They're all amazing. Like Justified is more of a modern western series, but it is great. If you haven't seen it, I would recommend checking it out. The Fists of Fury reference is one of the other Iron Fist references. There's a couple throughout the episode. He claims that he's partnered with the Hood just because he's meant to be rich in this universe. I think that's also meant to be a callback to Ant-Man and the Wasp when he was trying to buy Pymtech for a ton of money for a wealthy villain inside the MCU that he was working for. When he says this train is for liberation, that's also meant to be a reference to something that Loki said during the first Avengers movie when he was using the Mind Stone to hypnotize people, basically liberating them from their free will. The Watcher intervenes again to save the little kid, which is like the last straw for the other Watchers. They're like, oh hell no, and they show up to kick his butt at the end of the episode. And generally, this whole train fight scene feels like a comp to the train fight in the first Captain America movie. Them going through the secret mountain pass to get to the Hood's secret base feels like it's meant to be a reference to the gateway between dimensions in the Shang-Chi movie, like the secret entrance to the Ta Lo dimension. Then they reveal the twist that the Hood is now just his sister using a voice changer, but she killed the first version of the Hood and just took the Hood for herself, and the Hood itself has been turning her evil. It seems like the Hood itself is giving her extra magical power, so that's why she's able to fight him, but in reality, he's like a much stronger fighter. The whole reason why she was able to beat him in the Shang-Chi movie is because he wasn't willing to hurt her, and she just gained the upper hand because she was willing to fight dirty. When you see her using the ability to cloak herself in this universe, it's one of the abilities that the Red Hood gives her. While this is going on, Sonny Burch pulls out his Loki's Scepter Mind Stone pocket watch and starts using it to hypnotize Kate Bishop. He explains that he's the person that killed her parents, setting up her battle with him in the episode. When he says he got the pocket watch in Russia, that just feels like a Black Widow Red Room reference. Anytime anybody mentions anything Russian inside the MCU, it always feels like it's a reference to all that stuff. The other thing going on here too, her becoming the villain, leading an evil organization, is also meant to be a callback to her taking over the Ten Rings organization at the end of the Shang-Chi movie. Overall, their actual kung fu fight is pretty solid, but the what-if style of animation just isn't very conducive to a lot of like traditional anime kung fu fight scenes you'd see like on other anime series. Then the little kid rings the bell, bringing everybody out of their Mind Stone trance. Kate Bishop takes out Sonny Burch and his men. Then Shang-Chi tries to talk no jutsu his sister, but Kate Bishop winds up killing her without realizing who she actually is. R.I.P. to Xiling. If you didn't catch it though, when the cloak falls off her, like the actual Red Hood falls off her, you can hear the whispers of like the souls of the damned coming off of it, which is some of the magic power that's imbued into it, which was how she got so powerful during the fight. And part of the idea is that the cloak itself was making her evil, like someone was pulling the strings, some evil god behind the scenes. I believe is meant to be Mephisto of all people. Like yes, post all the Mephisto memes who we're supposed to see during that Ironheart series. So when it seems like the cloak is flying off of its own accord at the end of the episode, it's not meant to be the cloak of levitation like Doctor Strange's cloak. It's still meant to be the Red Hood's cloak that you actually see in the Ironheart trailer. They will probably get deeper into this whole idea, like the actual powers of the Red Hood, what's the deal with the actual red cloak here, when they actually get to those episodes next year. But then after a short time jump, Kate Bishop's reference Iron Fist again, implying that the kid is going to become the Iron Fist in this universe, saying that Shang-Chi will have some competition eventually. Also, that feels like it's the writers referencing that canceled Shang-Chi versus Iron Fist episode, like we were going to have them fight in an episode and it was going to be badass, but Marvel wouldn't let us do it. Then he makes a Hulk reference, sun's getting real low, and they ride off into the sunset like many classic Western movie endings. Then as the Watcher transitions back to his base, the other Watchers show up to absolutely wreck him for breaking their highest law to not interfere in the goings-on of any other lower beings across universes. Notice the Eminence, too, uses a blast of cosmic energy. They animate it with the Kirby Crackle, those bubbles of cosmic energy. So the Kirby Crackle was Jack Kirby's way of showing cosmic energy that beings were using. So like a number of different beings use the Kirby Crackle. This is also meant to be a callback to the Watcher in the Fantastic Four comics, all because Jack Kirby helped create the Fantastic Four characters with Stan Lee and created the Watcher character. They've used the Kirby Crackle in a whole bunch of animated stuff since then too, like for instance they use it all the time during the Spider-Verse movies. Overall, it was an okay episode, happy to see Shang-Chi and Kate Bishop come back, but I really honestly would have rather seen that Shang-Chi versus Iron Fist episode. Marvel better give us that in live action like the next couple years, otherwise I will be pissed. If there's any other Easter eggs or references that you spotted in the episode that I didn't talk about in the video, just write them below in the comments. Episode 7 tomorrow will be What If the Watcher Disappeared? That's also supposed to be the one where Storm shows up wielding Thor's hammer from the comics. There's only a couple episodes left. Episode 7 will be tomorrow, and then my finale video will post the day after that, and that's pretty much it for like the next several years. There's a bunch of other big stuff happening right now. We still have Creature Commandos episodes, Skeleton Crew episodes I'm doing every week, and we have all those brand new Spider-Man series episodes happening in January. I'll be doing episode videos for that too. Make sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss any of that stuff. Everybody click here for my new Captain America Brave New World trailer with a whole bunch of Chris Evans in it. Like that's right, they're using a lot of Chris Evans to market Captain America 4 now. And click here for all my What If episodes. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.